And Britain unveiled a tax-raising budget on Wednesday aimed at cutting public debt and stabilizing public services. Finance Minister Rachel Reeves said higher taxes will create an additional £22 billion in this fiscal space. Now, markets reacted positively and the British pound strengthened even as forecasts showed slower economic growth through 2029. Take a look.
British Finance Minister Rachel Reeves hiked taxes in her budget plan on Wednesday. Workers, people saving for a pension and investors will all pay more tax to help Reeves meet borrowing targets. The country's fiscal watchdog, the Office for Budget Responsibility, or OBR, cut its forecasts for growth in the British economy over the coming years. But in a closely watched moment for markets, it said the government will now have more than double its previous headroom for meeting its fiscal targets, even as it raises spending on welfare. The headroom refers to the amount of extra spending or tax cuts possible for the government while staying within its budget rules. The OBR said it now stood at roughly £22 billion or $28.9 billion in 5 years' time. It had forecast roughly around $11 billion earlier this year, a historically low level. The result was in large part due to more than £26 billion or $34.4 billion of fresh tax rises. Finance Minister Rachel Reeves.
No doubt we will face opposition again, but I have yet to see a credible or a fairer alternative plan for working people.
A fall in borrowing costs suggested investors were largely comfortable with the budget plan. The OBR had mistakenly released the budget before Reeves had given her speech, which Reuters first reported. It revealed the key announcements from the budget on taxes, economic growth and individual policy changes. Reeves had promised to take fair and necessary choices to improve the country and to speed up economic growth, but she also recognised unhappiness among voters. Some key details in her plan include a longer freeze on the thresholds at which people start to pay income tax and a higher rate of income tax. The generosity of pension incentives was scaled back, with social security charges on salary sacrifice pension contributions raising around $6.5 billion. There will also be higher tax rates on dividends, property and savings income. The authority of Reeves and Prime Minister Keir Starmer has been questioned within the centre-left Labour Party. Reeves said in her first budget last year she was returning stability to public finances. That after the shocks delivered by Brexit, the pandemic and the mini-budget crisis of former Conservative Prime Minister Liz Truss.
Well, the European Parliament is calling for minimum age rules for children accessing social media after warning that excessive screen use is driving mental health problems among teenagers. The proposal would require tech platforms to enforce age verification tools across the 27-nation bloc. Take a look.
The European Parliament called on Wednesday for the European Union to set minimum ages for children to access social media to combat a rise in mental health problems from excessive exposure. Parliament's resolution calls for an EU-wide ban on access for children under 16 to online platforms, video sharing sites, and AI companions without parental consent, and an outright ban for those younger than 13. The call, which is not binding, comes as Australia is poised to institute the world's first social media ban for children younger than 16 on December 10th. Denmark and Malaysia are also planning bans. It's not quite clear how the EU ban would work, given it is up to individual EU members to impose age limits. Parisian Christian Lima, a father of 3, questioned the decision on Wednesday.
I
think that banning it is perhaps a bit harsh, a bit extreme. We need to regulate it. We need to find ways and means, perhaps to limit access, perhaps also to limit the time spent. We also need to work on parental responsibility because actually, we can decide a number of things at the highest levels, but above all, we should not absolve parents of their responsibilities regarding the protection of their own children.
The effects of social media on children's health and safety have become a growing global concern, with a number of companies facing lawsuits in the United States for their role in fueling a mental health crisis. Social media platforms including TikTok, Facebook, and Snapchat say people need to be at least 13 to sign up. Several EU countries have already put in place less strict rules like banning the use of mobile devices in classrooms and requiring parental consent to use social media. But child protection advocates say these controls are insufficient, and official data in several European countries show huge numbers of children under 13 have social media accounts.
From a major semiconductor deal to a tech rivalry heating up against Nvidia and an AI-powered advice from the Vatican. Here's a look at this week's biggest stories in the world of artificial intelligence. We leave you with that.
Could Meta rival Nvidia? And what the Pope thinks about artificial intelligence. This is AI Weekly. Meta Platforms is in talks with Google to spend billions of dollars on the company's chips for use in its data centers starting from 2027. That's according to the information. If confirmed, it could pitch Google as a serious rival to semiconductor giant Nvidia. The report said talks also involve Meta renting chips from Google Cloud as early as next year. US President Donald Trump signed an executive order to launch a government-wide effort to build an integrated AI platform. It's to harness federal scientific data sets to train next-generation technologies. The effort is called Genesis Mission. It aims to transform research and speed discoveries by using massive government scientific data sets. Trump directed the US Energy Department and US national laboratories to, quote, unite America's brightest minds and most powerful computers. The Kremlin says Russian President Vladimir Putin doesn't use AI tools himself, but officials who work for him do. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov added the Kremlin used AI tools to help sort through citizens' questions during Putin's annual question and answer event. Putin last week called for a national task force to coordinate Russia's work on homegrown generative AI models. He said they were vital to preserving Russian sovereignty. Alphabet is on track to hit a historic $4 trillion market valuation. It's been powered by an impressive year-long rally fueled by the Google parents' sharpened focus on AI tools. The firm joins an elite club of big tech companies racing to dominate the booming technology as AI continues to attract Wall Street this year. Leo, the first US Pope, discussed AI with 15,000 of the country's youth via a video call. It came during a live transmission from the Vatican to a National Catholic Youth Conference in Indiana. Leo told the young viewers AI is, quote, becoming one of the defining features of our time, but he cautioned it must be used responsibly.
In your education, make the most of this time. AI can process information quickly, but it cannot replace human intelligence. And don't ask it to do your homework for you. It cannot offer real wisdom. It misses a very important human element. AI will not judge between what is truly right and wrong.